This is Voice of Korea.
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 Now we begin the English language transmission from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
In office in the Mixed Powers, Sunghof General Kim Il-sung. Commander Towers, Signature General Kim Il.
Respected Kim Jong-un, First Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, First Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, inspected twice three Revolution Red Flag Far Island Defense Detachment, which is defending the front post on the East Coast. He was accompanied by Vice Marshal of the Korean People's Army, Hwang Byung-seo, Director of the General Political Bureau of the Army, and Colonel General Park Jung-chun, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Army. Kim Jong-un first looked round the marker of the field guidance set up to 12 rival the immortal exploits of the great Kim Jong-il, who had inspected the Allied Defense Detachment in October 1999. He said the great leader President Kim Il-sung had given important instructions on the Far Island Defense Detachment once scores of times, and the great Kim Jong-il had always paid deep attention to the detachment, and he stressed the need to glorify the achievements made under their army command with proud successes in the completion of combat preparations and the strengthening of fighting efficiency. Seeing the woods covering the islet and different kinds of fruit trees around the barracks, Kim Jong-un warmly said, "There are many trees, and as the islet is thick with pine trees, it must be called the Song or Pine Islet, not Far Islet." And he highly appreciated that the islet has been turned into thick woods, gardens, and orchards, as intended by the party. He noted that the love for their post like their home could produce such a marvelous scene. Kim Jong-un mounted the observation post and, examining the specific document on the defense plan of the detachment, heard a report from the commanding officers on the combat task of the detachment, saying they should completely annihilate on the sea the enemy attacking from the sea. He presented new original tactics for completing combat preparations of the Far Island Defense Detachment, including the way to arrange the fire-striking means and use the firing area in conformity with the demand of the modern warfare. Kim Jong-un said the Hua Arlet Defense Detachment is an advanced base in the defense theater of large combined unit 324 of the Korean People's Army and the outpost of the gateway to the sea, linked to the yard of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea. And he pointed out that the important task of the defense detachment is to formally turn the Arlet into an impregnable fortress, unthinkable battleship, and today's World Arlet. He underscored the need to strengthen political and ideological education among service personnel to train them as phoenixes, and especially to make training part of daily life and an inveterate habit to formally consolidate the one match for 100 fighting capacity, so as to smash the invaders of our territorial waters to the last man and bury all of them in the dark blue sea once the battle starts. Kim Jong-un gave an order to start shelling to the defense detachment all of a sudden and guided the training. Attentively seeing the fire service movements of service personnel with a pair of binoculars, he gave an order firing. The shells correctly hit the target. With a bright smile on his face, Kim Jong-un said the artillerymen shot well and praised that all of them are crack shots, and the commander of the defense detachment has commanded the shelling well. He noted that the artillerymen could hit the targets correctly as they had trained harder and harder, keeping deep in their hearts the demand of the party for conducting crack shot movements. He named the 5th Company of the Defense Detachment, which participated in the shelling, Company of Crack Shots, and gave thanks of the Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army. Making the rounds of the barracks, education room, wash-cum bathhouse, mess hall, and storehouse of the 3rd Company, Kim Jong-un took warm care of the service personnel with parental affection. He said it is a very good thing that the defense detachment is providing each soldier with more than 360 grams of bean food a day, the mess hall smells of fish, and a lot of domestic animals such as pigs, duck, and geese are bred to lay tables with rich foods. He said the companies of the defense detachment with rich tables and warm beds are dear home of the soldiers, and the defense detachment is their home village. He noted that the military policy of the party is most correctly implemented in the Hua Arlet Defense Detachment too, like in the Rio Island Defense Detachment, and stressed the need to launch a more intensive drive in stock breeding, fisheries, and bean farming in the future, and thus make the unit a proud and rich detachment. Kim Jong-un expressed the belief that the service personnel of the Hua Arlet Defense Detachment would remain loyal to the Sungun-based revolutionary leadership of the party, gave a pair of binoculars and an automatic rifle to the 3rd Company as souvenirs, and had a photo session with the service personnel of the defense detachment and their families. Respected Kim Jong-un, Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, First Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the PPRK, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, guided tactical rocket launching exercise of the Strategic Force of the Korean People's Army. He was accompanied by Vice Marshal of the Korean People's Army Hwang Byung-seo, Director of the General Political Bureau of the Army. Kim Jong-un mounted the top of the observation post and heard a report on the plan of the exercise. The exercise was conducted in the method of precision-guided and dispersed shooting for hitting individual and group targets of the enemy. The moment Kim Jong-un gave an order to start the tactical rocket launch, ballistic rockets were launched. The tactical rocket launching exercise of the Strategic Force of the Korean People's Army was conducted on the basis of a scientific calculation of the whole launching process and thorough security inspection and search of the flight orbit and target waters. It was smoothly conducted without affecting even a little not only the regional peace and security, but also international navigation over and ecological surroundings. The exercise fully proved the combat performance of the tactical rocket made with our strength and technology, and the tritium-based rocket launching method was completed. Kim Jong-un expressed great satisfaction of the successful tactical rocket launch, and had a photo session with the officers and soldiers of the Strategic Force who participated in the exercise. He said peaceful surroundings most precious to the Korean people cannot be provided by others nor sold or bought with anything. He stressed the need to put greatest spurs to further consolidating our self-defense of Ukrainian force, to firmly defend the security and peace of the country and the gains of revolution. As genuine peace is defended only by our great strength, nobody dares to challenge, and guaranteed only by our strength. He called for strengthening combat preparations of the strategic force, and further developing and completing the tutor-based rocket science and technology and launching methods, lest aggressors threatening and infringing upon our cause, sovereignty, and vital existence should run wildly. Kim Jong-un expressed the belief that the officers and soldiers of the strategic force would make full preparations to launch powerful ballistic rockets at any moment in high alertness according to the demand of the prevailing situation and the development of revolution, and thus contain the senseless acts of the U.S. imperialists and their satellites with abnormal disapproval of the DPRK, pursuing constitutional hostile policy towards it, and firmly guarantee the building of a prosperous socialist nation.
The AFZ Publishing House in Myanmar brought out in booklet the famous work of respected Kim Jong-un. Let us brilliantly accomplish the revolutionary cause of Juche, holding Kim Jong-il in high esteem as the eternal general secretary of our party. The publishing ceremony recently took place in the publishing house. Tunisian and Kuwaiti committees for remembering President Kim Il-sung were recently formed. The committees decided to organize political and cultural events in praise of the sacred revolutionary life and immortal exploits of the great leader President Kim Il-sung on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of his demise. The Committee for Remembering the Great Leader Kim Il-sung was formed as the Khabarovsk Territorial Committee of the Communist Party of the Russian Federation on June the 26th. A roundtable talk, book exhibition, and film show took place in Iran, a reading session in Guinea, and the film show in Algeria on June the 24th and the 25th on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the demise of the great leader Kim Il-sung. Hung on the front walls of the venues of the event were smiling portraits of the great Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. Exhibited there were famous works of the peerless great men of Mount Baekdu and books and photos introducing Sunken Korea. Day-party documentaries including Kim Il-sung and Korea Today were screened at the film shows. Participants in the event highly praised that President Kim Il-sung is a peerless patriot and excellent statesman who devoted his all for the happiness of the people, prosperity of the country, and the victory of the cause of global independence throughout his life. Foreign media praised the exploits of the great leader Kim Jong-il on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the start of work of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea. The Russian newspaper Pravda Primoria carried a special article illustrated with photographs of the great Kim Jong-il and respected Kim Jong-un. The Russian newspapers Novodevsky Rabochi and Nizhgorodskaya Pravda and website Irkutsk Blogspot, the Bangladesh newspapers Bliss and Bangla Times, and the Indonesian newspaper Suara Garuya carried articles praising the undying feats of the great Kim Jong-il, along with his photographs. The Democratic Congolese newspaper L'Avenir printed a photograph of the great Kim Jong-il and carried a special article in praise of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un. The Cuban Press Latina News Agency, the Guinean domestic and international channels of the Broadcasting Service and 7 national language broadcasting channels, the Senegalese radio and the website of the Brazilian Center for the Study of the Church Idea gave publicity to the exploits performed by the great Kim Jong-il in party buildings. 7 counter-mass rallies were held in Korea on the occasion of the June 25th day of the struggle against the U.S. imperialism. Present at the rallies were officials of the local party, government and economic institutions, and working people's organizations, working people of various stripes, and youth and students. Representatives of different strands made speeches at the rallies. The speakers said the U.S. imperialists made an all-out armed invasion of the DPRK 54 years ago to strike the young republic but could not bring to their knees the Korean army and the people that turned out as one to defend the freedom and independence of the country, the sovereignty of the nation, and the gains of the revolution, under the leadership of the great generalissimo Kim Il-sung. If the USA imperialists trigger off another war on this land, the invaders will get nothing but cops and death, the speakers stressed. The rallies were followed by anti-youth demonstrations. The sports games for Sangam Party Prize closed in Pyeongseong of South Pyongan Province on June the 30th. In the games, South Pyongan Province came first in total, South Hamgyong Province second, and South Hwanghae Province third. Trophy cups and medals were awarded to distinguished teams and players at the closing ceremony. DPRK acrobats proved successful in the Iritishi Skills World International Acrobatics Games held in Babelzad, Kazakhstan from June the 25th to the 27th. Xu Ren-tu and Peng Mi-yong came first in the mixed duet classic acrobatics, and Tang Oh-chang and Su Song in the women's duet and bagged gold medals. The Teachers Union of South Korea held a meeting at the square of the Seoul railway station on June the 26th, denouncing the South Korean puppets for obliterating its legalization. The meeting was participated in by members of the Teachers Union who gathered from across South Korea, including Seoul, Gyeonggi Province, Incheon, Daegu, South and North Korea provinces, and South and North Gyeongsang provinces. Speeches were made and a resolution was read out at the meeting. The meeting was followed by a demonstration of the participants. That day, the delegations of 15 branches under the Teachers Union turned the letter of protest to the Blue House, demanding the withdrawal of the decision on its legalization and the revision of its law. News of Something, an internet newspaper of Koreans in the United States, posted an article on June the 28th denouncing Kim Ji-chun, Chief Secretary of the Blue House of South Korea, as the mastermind who is plunging the political landscape of South Korea, including the personal affairs issues, internet, while sitting in the center of the Blue House. The 1132nd Wednesday rally for settling the issue of sexual slavery for the old Japanese army took place in Paris of France on June the 25th. The rally was participated in by members of the Council for the Solution of the Issue of the Volunteers Corps in South Korea, victims of sexual slavery for the old Japanese army, and members of the human rights organizations of France. Speakers at the rally called upon the international community to possibly cooperate for the settlement of the issue of sexual slavery. After the rally, the participants conducted a signature-seeking campaign for the settlement of the issue of sexual slavery for the old Japanese army. The Indonesian newspaper Siputaru Indonesia recently carried an article titled "Lesson of the Korean War," and the website of the Nigerian National Committee for the Study of Kim Il-sungism, Kim Jong-ilism, released an article exposing the true colors of the United States as the provocateur of the Korean War on the occasion of the June 25th to July 27th month of anti-US joint struggle. Vasilia Orleanu, chairman of the Supreme Council of the Socialist Party of Romania, posted a press statement on the website through TID. And that's the end of the news read by Chair Song Nam and Kim Jong-ok. This is Voice of Korea. In office in a mere chorus, President Kim Il-sung is together with General Kim Jong-il. Leader's lifelong motto. A man who is making revolution should always believe in the strength of the people and solve all problems arising in the revolution and instructions depending on their strength. This was the lifelong motto of the great President Kim Il-sung. When he embarked on the road of revolution in his early years, he first read the demand of the year of independence and the log of the development of history, and codified the profound truth of the teachings that the popular masses are the masters of the revolution and construction, and they have the strength to promote the revolution and construction. He also clarified that the popular masses are the teachers in everything and the motive force of the development of history, and used tens of years of revolutionary guidance as a history of popular guidance. After Korea's liberation, President Kim Il-sung said that in order to correctly enforce the agrarian reform, which was a difficult task, it was necessary to depend on the peasants, the masters of the land. He let peasants and anatomically analyze the complicated feudal land ownership, and then informed one by one the principles and ways of agrarian reform suited to the situation of the countryside of Korea. After the Korean War, when the enemies at home and abroad challenged the Korean Revolution, saying this or that about the people's livelihood, he went among the people and discussed important affairs of the country together with them, and created a great new history of revolutionary outbursts by arousing them. He always found himself among the people, saying philosophy, economics, literature, and all other things are among the people, and whatever difficult and complicated tasks can be successfully carried out when the indispensable creative strength and wisdom of the popular masses are correctly organized and mobilized. One Sunday morning, President Kim Il-sung called an official and proposed visiting some units in the Gangsa, Ryonggang, and Wonsan areas. But the official could not give him an immediate answer because he thought that the president, who had worked late at several nights, should have left it for dinner even a moment. So the official requested him to start in the afternoon after taking a short rest, as it was Sunday. President Kim Il-sung said, "You've been working with me for a long time, but you don't understand me yet. I cannot go out for field guidance on weekdays as I am busy. But on Sunday, I want to go out to new places to get familiar with the relatives and meet the people. There is a more satisfactory Sunday than this to me. It is my rest." Like this, President Kim Il-sung continued to call on people, saying he was most pleasant when he found himself among the people, and he was pleased and had good appetite when he met them. Thanks to his devotion, precious paradise was built, and people became happy.
You've been listening to an account under the title, Leader's Lifelong Motto, the Voice of Korea.
Now, you enjoy the All People's Hymn, Song of Loyalty, which represented the innermost desire of the Korean people to hold the great leader President Kim Il-sung as the son of Juche forever. an orchestral music, lofty wheel of the leader in full bloom. enjoy your female soul and female power, the home of my life.
Wicked plot justifying most-targeted war movements. On June 25th, Park Geun-hye and a group staged a farce concerning the anniversary of the outbreak of the June 25th Korean War. Units of different levels of the South Korean Puppet Army informed the soldiers of distorted facts on the June 25th war under the signboard of strengthening of moral education, inciting hostility against the fellow countrymen. Worse still, the South Korean Marine Corps staged north-targeted war exercises called exercises for checking emergency mobilizations in the east coastal area, including Pohang and Gyeongju of North Gyeongsang Province from early morning. Especially, Prime Minister Chung Hong-won, addressing the ceremony for commemorating the 64th anniversary of the June 25th war, declared that they would resolutely cope with threats from the north. All this is a manifestation of their wicked plot to cover up their true colors as the mastermind of the Korean War provoked that war to trigger off the fratricidal war together with the United States and justify their war movements against the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It was already exposed that the past Korean War was a war of aggression on the North provoked by the South Korean puppets according to the scenario made by the United States in advance in a bid to occupy the whole of Korea and furthermore to dominate the world. The United States illegally occupied South Korea in September 1945 and extensively expanded and strengthened the South Korean puppet army. It offered a colossal sum of military aid and arms and equipment and sent officers of the South Korean army to the United States for systematic military training. In this way, the United States left no stone unturned to train the South Korean puppet army as its cannon fodder. On the basis of such preparations, the United States gave an order to provoke the war on the North, and the South Korean puppets triggered off the war. That in the past Korean War, the United States and the South Korean puppets suffered the most ignominious defeat. Especially, the United States lost many troops and signed an instrument of surrender, and thus suffered disgrace in the face of the world. After all, its myth of mightiness was broken, and its downfall started for the first time in history. Those who provoked the Korean War ought to feel the responsibility for the provocation of the war on the North and draw a due lesson from their defeat in the war on the occasion of June 25th. Thus, the Park Geun-hye Group staged exercises for checking emergency mobilization and held a commemorative ceremony. Those acts are senseless ones that can be done only by heinous confrontation maniacs and war hawks crazy for war movements against the North. As has been recognized officially, danger of nuclear war does not disappear, but becomes greater on the Korean Peninsula day by day, entirely due to the Park Geun-hye Group persisting in frantic war movements against the DPRK in liquid outsiders. Not resting content with the North-targeted war exercises in South Korea, the South Korean puppet forces recently conducted joint drills together with the U.S. forces in the U.S. mainland. Some days ago, they perpetrated great military provocations of firing assaults at the waters of the DPRK from the sea off the Yeonjung Island on the West Sea of Korea. As Park Geun-hye and her group persist in their frantic war movements against the DPRK in collusion with outsiders, the danger of nuclear war becomes greater on the Korean Peninsula with each passing day far from disappearing. What cannot be overlooked all the more is the undisguised nervousness of the South Korean war hawks to participate in the U.S. missile defense system. If the South Korean war hawks introduce the Fears of High-Altitude Area Defense Interceptor, or THAAD, and join in the U.S. missile defense system, the danger of nuclear war will be escalated in Northeast Asia as well as on the Korean Peninsula. If Park Geun-hye and a group persist in the sycophantic and treacherous act of leaving the Korean Peninsula at the mercy of outsiders without hesitation, siding with the U.S. Asia strategy, it will only precipitate their self-destruction. The South Korean puppets should feel responsibility as the provoker of the post-Korean War and refrain from reckless war gambles. You've been listening to an account under the title, Wicked Plot to Justify North-Targeted War Movements. This is Voice of Korea. Dear listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Southeast Asia between 5 and 6 hours UTC on 13,650 kHz and 15,112 kHz, and between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz and 13,650 kHz. For Middle East and Northern Africa between 16 and 17 hours UTC on 9,890 kHz and 11,645 kHz, and between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 9,875 kHz and 11,635 kHz. For Southern Africa between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 7,210 kHz and 11,910 kilohertz. And for Central and South Americas, between 4 and 5 hours UTC on 11,735 kilohertz, 13,760 kilohertz, and 15,180 kilohertz. And between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,710 kilohertz and 15,180 kilohertz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.